Hi, this is Sarah Seberg. Welcome to Kingdom Real. And today, we have part 2 with
Yes,
our wonderful guest, Heidi Waldheis. Thank you so much for coming back.
Pleasure to be here.
Joining us.
Absolutely.
We left off, and it was pretty powerful. We had been talking about
Yes.
some pretty deep things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start part 2 by kind of circling back to some things from your childhood.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned that your parents were not very affectionate.
No.
That you didn't get hugged
No.
or any kind of physical affection.
None.
Is that a pretty typical thing for the whole entire environment that you grew up in, or is that specific to your family?
My family is especially aloof, I guess would be a good way to put it. Because in hindsight, I don't remember my grandmother ever hugging me. And that would have been on my mother's side. My father's side, my grandparents on that side, day and night different. She was a hugger, smotherer, let me feed you and bake for you kind of person. But no, I think there is a coldness and a distance. But when you're in a denomination where you may be called to disown a child, how much can you really love them?
Right.
I look at my kids, I can't fathom making that decision. Mm-hmm. There is nothing my child could ever do. And you can pick the worst thing you can possibly think of. Pick the worst. And I'm still going to say, I love my kids so much. Mm-hmm. They deserve to pay for what they've done. But, oh my gosh, I love them. They will never know what it is to be without my love. So I'm hoping that I have at least broken that part of the family history, in that emotions and affection and love are a normal part of life, or should be a normal part of life. And it's a human need. Humans need that. They need connection. They need belonging. They need affirmation. They need love. They need to know that they belong and they're wanted. Even when they may not look like or are doing what everybody else is doing, or may have different thoughts, it doesn't mean you take your love from them. But this church demands it. And my family followed through. I got a form letter from my mom's side of the family that they all wrote together, informing me that I was dead in their eyes and no longer existed. And
when was that you got that letter?
That was probably less than a month after I was excommunicated. And
so you've got 4 kids. You're on
4
your own,
kids on
exploring
my own.
a world that you've never been a part of before.
Yes.
And then you get this letter.
Got that letter. It shouldn't have been a surprise. I was surprised that I got an official letter. Mm-hmm. But yes, I mean, my own parents, they vanished. And my husband in the church, going to the church, supported by the church.
He turns out to be the good guy.
Well, he didn't file for divorce, so I guess so. And, yeah. The unfairness of it is just appalling to me to think of at this point. The utter and complete unfairness. And I think it's particularly towards women in this denomination, the unfairness to how the girls are raised, what's drilled into their head. Your value comes in being a wife and bearing children because you caused the fall. You're the reason for sin.
What would happen if a woman couldn't have children?
That would be a great sadness. You could consider divorce, but there was even, not divorce, adoption. But even adoption, they kind of questioned, because they believed that the line of saved people was through the blood. Like, you have to be actual family. Well, you adopt a kid, and you don't know what those parents were like, so you're probably raising a kid that's not saved.
Okay.
because you either are or you aren't, and that's decided before you ever draw breath on earth in that denomination. So I don't really recall many childless people in this denomination. I had not stopped to think about it. There's a lot of really large families, but yeah, not having children would leave a woman kind of in a position of, oh, where's my importance or value? So she probably would become a school teacher, would stay busy working in church, run Bible studies, do things so you could have value and contribute to the church, since you couldn't procreate and grow the church because not a lot of people are flocking to get in, which I also started realizing later was quite odd, that we never have visitors unless they're out of state from the same denomination.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
so you didn't have outsiders just coming in
Oh,
to
heavens,
visit
no.
on a Sunday to check it out?
Absolutely not. No, I remember once a family walked in that was new to the neighborhood, and I think they made it through a quarter of the long prayer part, and then they up and were out of there. I wanted to go with them. Yeah, nobody did. Like, even if, travel plans had to be made around where this denomination was located because you needed to go to church on Sunday.
Even if you were on vacation?
Yes. Some families would stretch it and then would listen to the church service while on vacation, or would try to have their own, like, we're going to listen to it and have like a church service, and vacation Sundays were exactly like church Sundays. That's just what you do. So, but yeah, got way off the affection
So,
type thing, but yeah.
So what happened after you left?
Yes.
Kind of walk me through what your life looked like after you left. You've got your kids and everything
Yes.
from there.
So, I found a job. I found a job working as a server in a restaurant. Fortunately, it was one where I made a lot of money. It was just kind of that clientele, and it was, which worked for me. I needed all that. I needed it, but I have situations of, what about my kids and who watch it? Because it's not like I can call somebody. And I was not going to call their father to watch them because he wasn't allowed to be around us at this point. But so I found that job, and at the job, then that was where I found my next husband, because he was nice to me. And he wanted to be married and have a family, and it sure sounded good, and it sure looked like some security, because I didn't know what I was going to do to keep a roof over my kid's head anymore. So he was nice enough, and I figured it's better than what I have now.
Right.
And I made the decision to marry him, knowing I didn't love him. I didn't want to be married to him. We were very different. And we had 2 children together, so I now have 6 children. It was during that marriage where my parents kind of put their toes in the water and kind of would see us because they wanted to see the grandkids, kind of a thing. But always just, my lifestyle was horrible, and, I always knew they were just very, very disapproving and didn't agree. And so I lived that way for a while. And then I, for whatever reason, decided I'm going to put myself through school and I'm going to be a paramedic. So I did that. I took the hard course so I could get it done sooner, because I knew that this marriage was not going to make it. And I knew that I needed a really, truly good income and benefits. I knew that. So, but if you think it was bad divorcing in the church the first time, it kind of got hellish when you make that decision a second time. And even though we both knew that it just needed to be done, it was bad. And I will say probably some of my darkest moments came in those times. It's not that I was without a house this time, but it was, I now have 6 children. I have this new career that it was great and I was very good at it and it paid me a good income. But I'm a very empathetic person and I feel things deeply, and I'm involved now in a career that I'm dealing with the worst that humanity has to offer, and I deal with people on their worst days. And meanwhile, I'm trying to deal with the fact that I'm disowned, I don't have any friends, I don't have any family, and the loneliness got horrible. And I drank for a while. It's just what I did. Kids went to bed and it's like, I just want to forget. I just want to go to sleep. I just need it to go away. I need it to be different. Never an addiction or anything, but it was like something to take me away from it.
Right.
And then, just kind of made some friends on the job, and, I'd hang out with them, but it was like, it was partying and all this kind of stuff. And I'm with a group of people that we deal with horrible things. It's how they dealt with it, but they weren't a single mom with kids.
Right.
And then I catch myself and it's like, I'm gone too much. My older kids were my babysitters. And I'm like, I am the world's worst human being. The people I love more than anything, the people I sacrifice everything for, including my place in heaven, because I love them so much. It looks like probably to them I didn't love them the way I was supposed to, because I was just desperately trying to hold myself together because I wanted to die. I didn't want to be here. So we had some really dark, hard times, and my kids suffered along with me because Mom was just broken. And there was weeping times at night with God, just please help me. Just please make this better. Please make this better. And time just keeps going, and keep trying to do my thing. And the kids are getting older, and older ones are starting to graduate, and they're amazing and they're wonderful human beings, but their childhood really sucked. It wasn't what I wanted for them. They know that I love them. They know that, and they know too, and I've told them, I'm sorry that I was not the mother you so deserve to have. I am so sorry. You didn't have that joyful life that children should have had, and I am so sorry for the responsibilities that were put on you at such a young age, because I didn't know how to do life. Nobody showed me, and I had to learn it with them, and it wasn't fair to them, but I can't change that. And but God took care of them. And
He saw them.
oh
Like
yeah,
He saw you.
he did.
He saw
And
them.
he did. So I reached a point in life where I had made a decision that my value was in my children. And when they were all grown, when they graduated and I knew that they were going to be okay, it wasn't necessary for me to stay anymore. And so I had a date picked out. I knew the when, I knew the where, I knew the how. And it was after my youngest was graduated from boot camp and was a Marine. And September 27, 2021 was the day I was going to die, and I was going to go home. 'Cause loneliness and isolation is a horrible thing. And when you're rejected by your family, the people that should love you, it takes away any kind of self-worth, any sense of value, any sense of there's a purpose and a reason why you're here. You know, your own parents loathe you. Your own parents see you as wicked and going to hell. Your own parents didn't have a problem when the church said you need to shun her and not have anything to do with her. So I'm like, I really am that unfixable. I really am. And, you know, I had letters written to my children. Letters written to my grandchildren. Just how much I love you. How sorry I was. That the person I am now, it wouldn't have looked like that for them, but I wasn't me then. I wasn't this person, and you know, there's regrets. There were so many regrets, and I hadn't learned to give myself any grace for that. I was in my 20s when I was excommunicated. I was 27 years old, 28 years old.
So young.
So here I am, decades beyond that excommunication moment, and it's so strange to think that somebody that has this horrible event happen in their later 20s, now at 54 years old, still pays prices. Still paying prices. And it just seems surreal that it can continue for so long. And I had always longed for, you know, to be free of that desire for family, to be free of that sense of loneliness, to just for that to be gone, but it never was. There was occasional times like I'll just shoot an email to my parents. I even, after hearing a message at my new church, that's a yay moment for me. I was challenged to reach out to my parents. They talk specifically if there's somebody that it weighs on you that something's left undone, and I'm like, God didn't let that one alone in me. So I'm like, I'm going to think about this. I wrote such what I felt, just so heartfelt. I poured myself out in that. I owned where I was wrong. Everything. I made no excuses for it. No, nothing. I just owned it all in. But I also expressed the hardships, you know, my truth and all this, my story. And I got done and I read it and I read it and I read it, trying to find anything that was offensive, anything that looked like I was judging, anything, because I was so careful in how it was worded. I asked my husband to read it, and then I sent it, and then I waited, and then I got a response, and I was flattened, just flattened at just the ugliness. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I've done my part. And I found that I felt a little bit better. So I'm like, this is great.
Wow.
And then a couple weeks ago, out of the blue at work, I turn a corner and run smack into who I recognize as my father. And my first thought is, he's an old man. He's in his 80s now. And then my second thought is, it was that immediate sense of I'm the eternal optimist. It's like, maybe. Yeah. I want my family so bad. I have this picture of what it could be. And maybe this is the opening. Maybe something good will come, because life is so good and great things are happening. So, and then before I knew it, he hugged me. And then he said, all I wanted to do, I just wanted to walk in here and look at you. Okay. And I should have caught the red flag in that, and I didn't. I right away said, I would love so much to have a conversation. There's so much to talk about. And then he delivered the reason why he was there. And it was literally to tell me what a wicked, hard-hearted person I continue to be, and that I needed to stop talking about my story. I needed to be quiet. And this is in the middle of where I work. It's public. People could hear him. And I'm standing here at 54 years old, feeling like this high. Just in that moment, it's like I felt like completely deflated again. And I just like called my husband and talked to him, and he's like, we're getting a restraining order and this is not okay. And the manager at work, who also happens to be family, now family by marriage to me, and they're all like, he's not allowed in this store. If he's ever seen, he will be removed. If there's an issue, the cops will be. So I had just this horde of people coming around me, just trying to protect me. But the damage he intended to do, it hit its target. But
in
I think,
contrast, you had a
yes,
support system.
I had,
this time.
and that's what changed everything. I think God allowed that to be that moment of, it's time for you to be free of this. Mm-hmm. It's time for you to fully be everything that I want you to be without fear. I have given you this new family you married into, and they all love you. They love me. My husband, his parents, his siblings, they love me. They tell me they love me. They hug me. They have welcomed me into the family. His son has gone so far as to say, if he does anything to mess this up, we're keeping you. So, so that's been replaced, and I love his two sons with all my heart. I'll love more, and his grandson is my grandson. And this church that I'm now plugged into, that's where Jesus is. That's where Jesus is. And I am filled with a joy and a drive to take everything that was done to me, and instead of returning it with ugliness, I am going to pour love into the people who need it the most. It started with this group that I'm plugged into. How I kind of got in the position with them, I don't know, because I'm not that leader type person, but nevertheless, I get to love them. I get to love people that they hurt, and I get to come alongside them, and I get to be the love of Jesus. I don't have to preach. I don't have to have a Bible study. I don't even have to be talking the Bible. It's just literally the way that I treat people. Our home is open to them, and they've started coming to our home. In that first meeting, to have people that I used to go to church with that also are now on the outside and thought they're all alone.
That's amazing.
We're coming together in the beautiful power of God being shown in that is blowing my mind, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And my next goal is to start a group. I can't really, I guess it's a ministry for lack of another word. It's not going to be preaching. It's not going to sit in a circle and do a Bible study. It's going to come and we're going to eat and we're going to talk. And I'm
real.
simply, no matter who you are, where you're coming from, you believe, you don't believe, I don't care. I want you here, and I want to love you. And I want my life to look like what Jesus wants the world to look like. It's not about rules. It's not about legalism. It's not excommunication. It's not shunning. It's not disowning your children. It's love. It is absolute love. I have studied and looked, and all of Jesus' teachings always seem to come back to that one word, 4 letters, L-O-V-E. It's love. Love. He didn't say only if they look like you. It's not only if they go to your church. It's not, if it's this community that you're in. No, he didn't put restrictions on it. He, in fact, inspects us. Let your love show people who I am. The way you treat people in the world, the way you interact with people, no matter who they are. If there is a need someone has, they don't have to be a professing conservative Christian for you to be able to help them. You get off your butt and you go help them if you have the ability to do so.
Right.
Because I told you to. That's what he said to do. And I am finding that God wanted me to experience that journey. Not because he hated me, and not because he didn't love me, and not because he didn't want me. God needed me to be ready for this. And the only way for me to be ready for this and to help these people that I so want to be there for is for me to be able to identify.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I'm just going to stop you for a minute. I have to tell you something. You have said to me a couple times that you are not a leader type person. I'm going to disagree with that. Because through your story, I see you as a leader from the moment you were born. You lead gently. You lead with love.
The world needs more of that.
You lead by example.
I'm trying very hard to be that.
You led your
now.
children out of that situation that they were in. And then you just kept leading them all throughout their lives, and now your grandchildren. And now think about all of the people that suddenly are showing up at your doorstep. You know?
Yes.
That's not a coincidence, and that's not by accident.
It isn't.
That's,
it isn't.
That's
And
God who saw you.
So,
You were a leader, built you for a time such as this. And this is your moment.
It is my moment. I have come so full circle. And it may be that David and Goliath story, but I know who won. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to stand up. I'm not afraid to say my story. I'm not even afraid of any dirt anybody wants to throw at me. You want to tell me, I saw you do this. I heard you do this. I'll say, you know what? I did. It is so good to be a child of God. It is so good to be a child of God and to be in a place where there is not one single second of my day where I wonder what it is that I'm supposed to do. God has given me my answer. I've been pleading for 2 decades with God, please show me why I'm supposed to be here. Obviously, last year, even up to that point, I didn't think that I was supposed to. And then God plopped this crazy husband of mine in my life and ruined all my plans. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, because I'm so thankful to be alive, because there's work to be done, and I'm ready to roll my sleeves up, to jump in and get it done, because I've been there, because I know what it's like. I've been through the experience. I've walked the walk, so I have a right to do this. I have a right to talk about it, and I cannot wait to see how God will bless people by using me in whatever way he wants to use me. I'm ready to just say yes. I'm like, show me the deepest end. I'm going to jump right on in. So
Amen.
I'm ready. And
God is using you.
he is using me in huge and tremendous ways. And life is truly a beautiful, beautiful thing when you understand what Jesus really was about and what it was that he came here to teach us and to instruct us to do. And it's not really difficult to just be a good human, love people, and that looks more like Jesus than anything the church I grew up in ever showed me.
Amen.
So,
Well, thank you so much.
my
Thank you.
pleasure, my absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you for being a comfortable place to do this. So
Absolutely.
you're a wonderful human being, and we love you. So,
We love you too.
so thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this very, very powerful part 2 episode of Kingdom Real.